Okay, a couple things. We are recording. Oh, God. Listen to this. It's super sensitive. It was a bad idea.
Ari, the long-awaited guest. We are so happy to have you on our podcast. Thank you for coming.
Happy to be here.
And so timely.
No, not in the context of like the world and events and what's going on, or even in your life, but just like
topical...
literally, just today. Way to be on time.
Is he normally not on time?
Yeah,
have you guys filmed another podcast that he wasn't on time for?
I wasn't going to say anything.
I'm pretty timely in general.
I don't, to be honest, like I feel like I know you, but I don't know your like arrival time schedule typically.
So then why are you telling him he's timely?
Because he was on time.
There was one time I was on my way home from shul. And I was like, I'm really running late. And Elie said, well, do you want to just come in for a drink quickly? I said, it was going to kill me.
Oh, right.
But then I stayed for like an hour.
We've all been there. Right. I've done that too, at least
That's
once,
true.
or maybe 5 times.
Yeah,
Just come in. It's fine.
It's like a challenge.
Black hole, you mean?
It's a black hole. My house is a black hole. We heard that you didn't get fired from your job, but chose to leave on your own. We didn't know people did that. Tell us more.
So that's an option. That's nice.
Everyone has that choice.
You know, I didn't just quit by telling off my boss or yelling at anyone.
Okay.
Even though I know you really wanted to yell at your former boss who let you go.
She was hoping for like a Jerry Maguire scene.
Yeah.
Who's coming with me?
I did.
I wanted something viral, but if that's not going to happen, whatever.
I left a job after being there for 8 years. You know, it felt like it was just time for something new.
Like you overstayed your welcome.
I don't think I overstayed my welcome, but I think it was, you know, when you're not
good at your job.
When you're not going anywhere. It's like when you feel like you're not going anywhere.
No,
like
the truth is I had a lot of growth. Things were really great. I just also...
Sounds like a big mistake. You should probably...
Are you regretting it now?
Wait, did you leave on good terms?
I left on really good terms. I wanted to be challenged in a new way.
Mm-hmm.
But 8 years is a fair amount of time to stay at one place.
It's not like you were jumping from job to job or something.
I feel like I'm like, you know, not the generation that jumps job to job, and also probably not that stays in one job for 30 years, you know?
Yeah, well, we're in-betweeners.
So we're the tweeners.
Are you considering yourself the same generation?
Yeah, okay, so that's a sore subject for me, actually, because when it comes to the generation of millennials, there are different websites, and I know that there are some that are more trusted than others, that have the start year different by 1 or 3 years. And so I don't consider myself a millennial. I don't know what the term is. I know there's been a few of them, and honestly, I don't care because I think it's dumb to make all these subsections of generations or partial generations. We're only a few years difference.
I was born in 87.
Yeah, so you're not even a millennial. You're whatever the next...
2 years apart.
There's a meme I just saw that was like, you know, remember on the old computers, you got to pick your solitaire background of the cards?
Oh, yeah, that was a cute little...
And it basically said, like, it was like, if you had a favorite one of these, your back hurts.
Yeah.
That was it was really...
I saw another one that was like that. It was like, if you recognize this, or if you see this image and you can hear the music, it's time to get a colonoscopy.
I've never seen that one before. That's
because you're not old enough. That's why. Or you saw it and you scroll past it because it meant nothing to you. That's really what probably happened.
What was it?
It doesn't matter. It was something from like Sesame Street, I think. Oh. But like the real Sesame Street, 70s and 80s.
Some of us didn't really get to watch Sesame Street growing up. We only got to watch Rehov Sum Sum and Shalom Sesame.
It's funny that you put it in that context because I actually feel the opposite. Like I always watched Sesame Street, loved it, but it felt like such a treat when we got to watch Rehov Sum Sum in school. Do
you know what the realization was when I found out that like Kippy Ben Kibod wasn't like a normal character in Sesame Street? People were like, "Who's your favorite?" I was like, "Oh yeah, Kippy." They're like, "Kippy."
You always went to Toys R Us. You're like looking for the Kippy. It's like I can't find him. There's this stupid Grover, and there's the.
We had it on VHS.
Yeah, VHS, exactly. Right, and then like sometimes you accidentally recorded a kid's dance recital over part of it. That's what we had.
We had the opposite, where we would accidentally record nonsense TV over important VHSs.
Yes.
Yes.
Like the Bulls was recorded over everything.
I said nonsense.
Okay.
Zahava holds a lot of like anger towards her parents because there are like home videos of like her recitals, and her dad at the back of the room holding the video camera just was recording some other short girl with black hair the entire time.
So it was like the entire dance crew.
I don't know what, it was a Sea Door ceremony, it was something, but I was like, oh, Zahava. She's like, that's not me, that's Shawnee Zitter. That's the real name. I don't know who that is, but Shawnee Zitter, you and Zahava look
You know what?
similar.
I'll give her dad more credit than you guys are. I have to believe that the reason he was focused on the wrong kid is because he was with his real eyes, IRL, watching Zahava. And so therefore he wasn't looking through the viewfinder and he probably was off.
We'll go with that.
Speaking of Zahava, actually, since you're married to an acupuncturist, you probably know the answer to this. You know the bug bite thing? Are you familiar with the bug bite thing?
I don't know what you're talking about.
The bug bite thing was like one of those like as seen on TV Shark Tank things.
Was it like the pull the venom out kind of thing?
Yeah, it's basically a little plunger.
The
It's like a little PVC suction thing. The whole thing is basically just it's creating suction and it's supposed to give relief to your bug bite. So I assumed, well, if suction helps, what if I like increased it a little bit? And so I took out a set of cupping things and I put it on my arm right over the mosquito bite and I just started the cupping and I like left it on there and it turned purple.
Oh.
Is that science check out?
I have no idea about the cupping to bug bite science.
As someone in the nonprofit world, what would you say about
like Zahava to somehow hear this conversation and answer through him right now?
I'm really glad you brought up Zahava because A, I like her.
Oh,
B,
that's a relief.
she's 36 under 36.
Well, last night we were at the JUF 36 under 36 dinner thing.
Oh, and what is that like? Do they give you money?
No, they actually ask for it.
Give you $36, and then they ask for a donation back. Do you know what's funny? They had a TV screen that was scrolling with the different profiles. And so someone came up to me and I was like, oh, you're so-and-so. And they're like, how'd you know that? And I just pointed at the TV that had their name and like
and the big face on it.
Yeah.
Did they have the right picture for Zahava, or was it that girl from school when she was little?
That Zitter girl is getting all the attention.
Did she go with you, Zitter?
I don't even know who that is.
Do you think if you swapped Zahava out of your life with Zitter, you'd know?
They swapped 10 years ago.
Ari's not laughing because he's going through the last 10 years trying to. Does that add up?
Children's dental world.
Was that somebody in the community, the dentist there?
Yeah, Dr. Allie Horn.
Wait, but how'd you get a cup?
We just brought AB for his first appointment. When I switched jobs, it's new health insurance, and the first place I called was Dr. Allie's office.
But this specific dentist, they're amazing because they throw a bunch of coins at your kids at the end, and there's like all these, what are they, like the quarter machines?
Yeah, they have quarter machines that your kids get to go get prizes at the end.
A million prizes. It's just
that's
like
cool.
the best thing
That
for
is
kids.
so cute. Yes. Alnatan
so
always
patient.
wants to go to Halavi so he can play the games and take our money and just buy crap that I throw away when we get home.
Okay, they give you the quarters though.
Right.
Yeah,
Right,
I'm
that-
very
Those-
happy
feels
that
different.
Emma's took away the quarter machines.
That's the gateway to casinos. To
Because-
be having a gambling addiction.
When we would like choose where do we like, okay, we're gonna go out to eat tonight. Where do we want to go? My kids were like, we're gonna go to Emma's for dinner. I'm like, there's no quarter machines. Oh, okay, then maybe we'll keep that as a
Consider
breakfast
some.
place.
But do you
and
remember
we'll-
that as a kid going to Ken's? Like part of it was like you wanted to play
Yep.
the arcade games, which are no longer there.
I had my birthday party in kindergarten at Ken's Diner.
Was it Ken's or was it Kosher City still?
It was Ken's.
That's how you know we're
Yeah,
not the same
I'm
generation.
not even sure what you're talking
Joint for,
about.
yeah, I don't know what you're talking about.
I also
That's
never
the
heard of that.
generational
That's how you
gap.
know
You're right.
we're different generations. Those goddamn squirrels. Look, do you see what they do? They go
Yeah.
up there and they
Are they throwing them at you?
yeah, they throw them off
Are
the
we
tree
that bad that they're throwing tomatoes at us right now?
all day and night. These squirrels, and they're huge. And they, I'll go grab one. They hit our roof,
Wait, you're
and then
gonna
we
grab
hear
a
them.
squirrel?
Squirrel. Yeah,
Yeah, I'll grab
he
one.
needs it to cover the microphone.
The nuts hit the roof, and then they hear it hit, and then drop, and then roll off. It's like punk.
So it's distracting when you're trying to go to sleep.
All day. Look at these things. This
Oh
is.
my God.
Look at these are the.
Those are the acorns nuts. Wait, what is that fruit? What is that?
I don't know what this is.
Should
Can
we
anybody
crack
tell
it
us
open?
what this
It
is?
looks like a walnut that hasn't been
I
cracked
mean, it
open
could be.
yet.
I don't think it is. Chestnut? Is that what chestnut is? Should I roast these on an open fire?
Oh, aren't those more the brown chestnuts?
Well, maybe after they like dry out.
Should we crack it open?
I don't know.
I really hope people watch the YouTube
Do you have
video
a
and don't just
nutcracker?
hear it.
I think my mom is the only
Yeah, I use
person in
it.
the
I think my parents had a nutcracker. I think it was like a generational thing also. I'll use a hammer.
I'm going to be the one that's going to get hit, guys.
Yeah,
we all know it.
we're in the
have the helmet that I put on top of the
You're in the
smoker.
splash zone. So if anybody knows what this is and can tell me what kind of nut this is.
First of all, who do you dislike at your new job? I'm just kidding.
No one. Everyone
you-
seems very nice.
Are you starting to feel the challenge that you were looking for in your new job?
There's a lot to learn. You know, it's one of those things where you want to like hit the ground running, but you also have so much you need to learn. And so it's balancing like being very proactive and also sitting back and just listening to the people around you and reading content and just, you know, immersing yourself in what the actual work is so you can speak intelligently about it, which I can't do yet, which is...
Clearly, we've been asking a lot of questions, buddy. And
You grew up in Highland Park.
No.
Oh.
I grew up in... I grew up in Buffalo Grove. My mom now lives in Highland Park.
Oh.
And my dad lives in Skokie. But I grew up in Buffalo Grove.
We have a lively debate in many different circles, but also on our block WhatsApp group about the garbage pickup going from 2 days to 1 day a week. And we are a community divided, whether there should be still 2 days a week of garbage pickup versus 1 day. And it seems like everybody has a very strong opinion and 50% fall on either side.
really, there's people that want only 1 day a week?
No, it's not that that's a great qualifying question. I think it's actually that it's not that they want specifically 1 day a week. It's that they don't see a need and see the benefits of not having 2 days a week.
Yeah.
My actual biggest problem is if you're like me and you haven't medicated early enough on Monday morning, so therefore your ADHD is not managed and in control,
You miss
I am
pickup?
prone to miss pickup. They're basically here around 7:30 a.m. And if I miss putting my garbage cans out the day before, that's a whole week that I have to wait.
Right.
I have a friend who actually is a garbage man in Skokie. His name is Will Barr. Shout out to Will. He's a friend of mine, and he's a wonderful guy and father.
Do you think he watches this podcast?
No, absolutely not. I was hanging out with him like last year, and I thought it was funny that, there's a lot of, especially in the woke age of PC and all that stuff, that everyone is very proper about terms. And he referred to himself as a garbage man. I just thought that was kind of funny. Like, you think, I don't know, waste management, and I'm a
City worker.
Yeah, a city worker.
He's saying he was like,
No, I get
I'm a garbage man, not like a waste engineer or
I'm
something.
not like a right. What is your role? Like, what are you in charge of? Like, what is your responsibility at your new job? Like,
Is it project manager? I
is it
feel like it's
internal? Is it
project
external
manager.
facing?
It's a lot of external facing. It's the director of Chicago, so they basically have regional directors. A lot of the work that I'm going to be doing is relationship building with, high-level professionals and lay leaders, and to think about what the needs are within Chicago facing the Jewish community at large, and how we can sort of help address it on a level of Jewish pluralism or on issues and things happening in Israel. So a lot of it is meeting with people and trying to better understand, what Chicago is facing that's unique from other communities.
Like 1 day of garbage pickup.
Like 1 day of garbage.
Okay.
That's
Just wanted to clarify. That's one of the things.
there's like that joke that's like the three mothers that come together, and one's like, oh, my son's a doctor, like, oh, well, my son's a lawyer. The other one's like, oh, my son's a rabbi. And like, rabbi, what kind of job is that for a nice Jewish boy? That's like the story of my life. It's like, Jewish, you work in the Jewish world? Like, oh, but you're Jewish. Like, you're
Yeah.
Oh my God.
No, it's a paradox.
And when I saw Elie earlier, I asked how she was feeling because I knew you were starting this thing on Sunday.
Okay, when we had met the last time we were going to do this podcast and then didn't do the podcast, I had told you all that I was going to start Optavia, which I didn't hear anyone tell me that I look skinny today. And that is probably because I couldn't even last a day. I
not
started,
true.
I drank a ton of water, I had a bar, and then Tamir made schnitzel.
Wait. This is Elie telling me her schedule. It is 10 a.m. Hey, I'm doing really well, by the way. I had one bar. I'm really doing this. It's gonna be crazy. Wait till you see me tomorrow. I'll look insane. I'm like, okay, like for sure you look great already, but fine. No joke. 11 a.m. Tamir made schnitzel. I'm out. It was legit like
But
that
also,
Seinfeld episode.
Tamir prepared enough schnitzel for 3 days and then just
Money
made
on the table.
schnitzel
Yes.
3 days straight.
I told
like-
Elie the same thing happens. Like not the exact same thing happens in my house, but I'm like, okay, Zahava, I need to start like eating better. I have to. She's like, okay, we're gonna do it together. We're gonna minimize carbs, and we're gonna, we're not gonna eat processed foods and all that stuff. And then within an hour, she's like, I really need pasta right now. I'm like, we're in it together. Wait, are you starting to work?
Yeah, I have a job.
What's your new job?
I'm going to be working in a nursing home. Surprise. It's so weird how you start doing something new and then it's like, that's now what you do.
You're saying you get typecasted into what you
Yeah.
are most recently having been
Yes,
doing.
correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Wait.
When are you starting?
When do you start?
August 30th.
It should be noted also that we made a decision a couple weeks ago that future guests will basically be decided by all of our former guests. I think
I love
that's a
that.
great idea.
That's true. So
So we have a WhatsApp group
I have
now.
a lot of power now.
You have a lot more power than pretty
You
much
should-
anyone who's not in the group, which is like everyone minus 3 people.
Hey, can you tell us what happened to the Beetle that was in your driveway?
Yeah, so I inherited a VW Beetle, a
What year?
2000 yellow manual,
Wow.
and so I had to learn how to
Manual.
drive stick shift
Whose
to
was
drive it.
it?
It was my grandfather's. He's still alive and well.
I feel like your grandfather
my
is
grandfather
like
just
hip,
stopped. He
that he got a Beetle.
There was like a running joke in my family that me and my grandfather had like nothing in common. He was really cool. He was one of the people that at the Shed Aquarium would like get in and scuba dive and feed the sharks. Like,
Oh.
he's like,
Wait, that's an
he is a
option, or he
he's
just did it?
No, not as guests. You can't be like a visitor of the museum and then say,
He
I'll
was
do
a
that.
volunteer.
guys, I told you that's who
professional-
we should have had instead of Ari.
No,
Yeah.
seriously,
Still-
way more interesting than me. He was a professional photographer and lighting expert, and like took pictures of like Muhammad Ali and Scottie Pippen, like great, like
would like him.
really interesting. And so he no longer was driving. And when Priya was born, I think when Priya was born, he gave us that car because we needed a second car, and he wasn't using it. Keep in mind, it only had like 10,000 miles on it. So like a
Nice.
20-year-old car with 10,000 miles.
I also like that you accepted a 2-door vehicle once you had a child. How awkward was that trying
So-
to get her into that
It
car
was
seat?
really hard getting kids in and out of the car. But we ended up selling the car to our neighbor. So this car is down the street. And so
That's
people have
so
yelled at me.
funny.
They're like, can you please move the car off the street? Like, we still do punch buggy in our family. And, I get punched a lot. I'm like, I can't move the car for you. But we sold the car to our neighbor, who's taking very good care of it. But they'll tell you the scary part. This is when I knew we had to sell it, was that I had the trunk opened. And the kids in the back, they can stick their hands out onto the side. And if
those
you're
are
not
the
paying
best.
attention...
Oh.
So I had a moment where
Oh my
where
God.
Judah said to me, he was like, "Look, my hand's outside the car," and I was like, "Oh,
you were envisioning.
this is I."
Oh my
not even-
God.
it was like too
feel
close
like I'm
for
not
comfort.
following.
It's a
So-
limb guillotine.
So instead, we switched to a minivan. That was
As people
that
do.
came much later. Actually,
I bet if Judah
but
tried hard enough, he can get his finger in the back of the sliding door before it closes.
That's true.
That is true. I went to Stevenson for 2 years, and then I went to what was then the Chicagoland Jewish High School, which is now Rochelle Zell Jewish High School,
Nice. And you went to college where?
University of Maryland.
And that's where
Go Terps.
you met a lot of people from Chicago,
That's
including
where I met
our
all
past
of
guest.
Skokie.
Except
I lived
me.
with Josh Goldman and Jordan Amrani in college, and Michael Gaveriahu, who's your neighbor.
Who's a white Cloudian?
White
Yeah.
Cloudian.
It's a term.
Yeah, lots of Maryland representation.
Go
There
Terps.
really is. I feel left out sometimes that I didn't go there.
You can go back to college.
Huh?
Nothing.
Not so directly. How I was first introduced to the Berger family was that in round just after my bar mitzvah, my mom started going to Mariah.
That's right.
And there was-
shout out to Mariah.
There was that Scott would come and daven at near the Amud area.
It's more than he does now.
Good old
Look-
Scott. He really thought he was going to be a rabbi, so
That's
he
so
took
sweet.
that very seriously.
He's got a
He
strong
also
neshama.
said he thought he was going to be a stand-up comedian. He said he always had this dream about being a stand-up comedian, and I think he has potential there.
There's a strong need in our community and many others for a stand-up comedian rabbi.
Oh,
I think that would be great. People would go to every drasha.
Yeah.
I would probably go to a Shabbos Shuvah drasha if my
If
rabbi
they
was a
were-
stand-up comedian.
Wait,
Okay.
specifically a Shabbos Shuvah drasha?
Well, I was trying to
you
think
need
of
a little-
what is the longest drasha of the year? It's probably got to be the Shabbos Shuvah, and it's typically in the middle of the afternoon on Shabbos. And if you have kids, it's just a very inconvenient
Impractical.
time to go back to shul and to sit through an hour-long drasha with
Unless you're
Marlon Como's
passing by
hand
my house.
What? Why we still
Ever
didn't get
take
there?
shots during a Shabbos Shuvah drasha? Then you're not doing it right.
I do think there is not enough comedy in the shul world. I'm a rabbinical school dropout, kind of, just so you know. Also,
Oh,
that's a
really?
fun fact.
Really?
Not really. I went to Hovevei in their Beit Midrash program for a year, and without having applied, they had accepted me into the rabbinical school, but I didn't continue. I didn't stay there.
Maybe that should be a thing, like a writer's room for the rabbis' drashas.
Oh.
Yeah, we got to punch this up a little bit.
Wait, that's a really good idea.
No, if they're roasting everyone in the
Oh my God.
all their congregants,
Be like the Wiener Circle of Shoals.
I would go every week.
Yeah, Rabbi would just be insulting people. And by the way, I saw you not paying attention, and you weren't here last week. Where were you?
Must be a good kiddush. This guy showed up.
I'm not good at impressions, except I can do a Russian accent. And
Here we go.
Hey,
Oh, go ahead. No, please.
well, if I said British accent, would that be less offensive?
No, I have a theory about this, and I actually don't know if my theory is insensitive and racist or not. But I'll say it here. I could edit it out, I guess, if I need to. But I've noticed a trend that when I see people doing comedy and impressions, it's okay. It's okay to do like an impression as long as you have the same skin tone. Like why is it okay for me, like you said, to do a British accent or a Scottish or Irish accent, but not African or Caribbean or whatever? I think I don't know. I have to look in this. It's not a joke. This isn't a bit. I'm
But
serious.
why can't you do why couldn't you do a Latino accent?
I think that's the point.
Racist?
That's what I'm saying. I think it comes down to skin tone, and I'm not saying this to be offensive or even to be controversial or to be a comedy bit. I'm saying I have noticed that people get there's a certain level of forgiveness and acceptance if you do an accent in a similar skin tone.
Well, I've seen a lot of light-colored Russians in my day. So
Most are.
They are. Yeah.
Soviets.
No sun.
Well, I was just going to tell you, it came in handy when I worked in the ER because we had a lot of older Russian people, and there was only one nurse who actually spoke Russian, and she had to be on shift at the time. And anytime we had a Russian speaker come in, I'd go into the room and I'd be like, "Hello, please to tell me problem." And sometimes they'd look at me blankly, "What's your problem?" And other times they'd be like, "Oh, finally someone speaks my language," and they'll be like, "My leg red." And that was
Wait, you're telling me in this reality where they think that you speak Russian, this somebody comes into the ER
yeah.
with that is Russian and speaks English with, by nature, a Russian accent.
Yeah.
You come in and you speak English with a fake Russian accent. And when you fooled them into thinking that you actually are Russian and speak with a fake Russian accent, they don't revert to speaking to you in Russian.
No one realizes this person understands English because they're the paramedics will be like, "Hey, what's going on?" And the person is responding in Russian and no one is understanding each other. So they call in and they're like, "This is a Russian speaker." So just to give us the heads up. So I'd always meet them and be like, "Hello, my friend. Hello, please to come in.
It's an acceptable form of mockery.
Please to put on robe."
We used to put on robe. I used to work with, in one of my first jobs out of college, I used to work with a lot of Russians, and they would speak in Russian around me all the time. And so they taught me exactly two phrases. "Ya tebya poнимаю," which means I understand you. And at the time, living on the Upper West Side, they also taught me "Ty очень красивая девушка," which means you're a very beautiful woman.
Oh.
Those are
all
Why
they would
were
teach
they
me.
That's
saying
the
that to you?
No, they weren't saying it to me. I
No,
was just saying,
those are the only two things you'll probably need to ever
they
say.
said, yeah, they
He
said if
must have been
anyone's
wearing
talking,
Ellie's sunglasses.
Probably.
Well, it's like the Family
I'll put
Guy
those on
episode
now.
where it's like, I don't speak English. I just learned that and this to tell you
phrase.
that I don't speak anything else.
And it's
What?
like,
Okay.
okay. But also, my last name is with a CZ, which is not Russian, but
Polish.
it's Polish. And I've had a number of instances where I go into a, get my hair cut or something, and someone says, "Oh, you're Polish. Oh, did your grandparents ever take you back to Poland?" I'm like,
Sore topic.
oh. They're like, "Oh, did you learn any Polish?" I'm like, have you been back to visit? I was like, certain parts?
Certain
parts?
on group trips.
Group trip? Yep.
Yep.
Like summer
oh,
camp.
Never
what'd you go to see? I'm like,
Well, yeah.
Oh, there is a bunch of funny Australian
Yeah,
isms.
rise
Wait,
up lights. It sounds like razor blades.
You ready for this one?
It's an Australian accent. Say rise up lights.
Rise up lights.
It sounds like razor blades in Australia.
Wait. There's another one that's
That's a
I
stretch.
don't know where this came from.
Say I'm going to be late.
I'm going to be late.
Now instead of saying late, say light like a light bulb.
I'm going to be light.
I'm going to be light.
I'm going to be light.
You get a good Australian accent with that.
Rise up lights.
I still don't know the
is-
rise up lights, but or there's
That's all I wanted
instead
to
of
say.
like more of an outback one, instead of saying, Bart Simpson, you could say bat like a baseball bat.
Bat Simpson.
Bat Simpson.
Oh, it's
This is very
like
helpful in
Boston.
life.
And
Yeah.
very
Appreciate
useless.
this.
There's a lot of useless knowledge up here.
Right. Because, we can do Australian accents without getting ridiculed.
Rise up lights.
Yes.
Anyway, Ari, thank you so much for coming on this podcast, taking time out of your day.
Thank you, and good luck to you on your new job.
She's still winking. She's still winking.
She's still doing the thing.
Yeah, it's happening. Someone wake her. Ari, you gotta wake her.